People do not see the world as it is. They see it as they wish it to be. And that is why most are ruled, while only a few ever rule. I am Niccolò Machiavelli. I do not speak of ideals, nor of moral fantasies designed to comfort the weak. I speak of power as it exists, not as it should exist. In politics, in society, and in life itself, those who survive are not the most kind, but the most aware. Men are quick to promise loyalty when it costs them nothing. But when loyalty demands sacrifice, it vanishes. Trust, therefore, is not a virtue, it is a risk. Mercy, without control, becomes an invitation to betrayal. And kindness, when shown without strategy, is often mistaken for weakness. If you wish to understand how leaders rise, why empires fall, and how influence is truly maintained, you must abandon comforting lies. You must learn when to be loved, when to be feared, and why fear when managed wisely outlasts affection. This is not a lesson for the innocent. This is not wisdom for those seeking approval. This is the truth of power. Listen carefully, because once you understand it, you can never be ruled the same way again. With a harsh truth that most people refuse to accept. Not everyone around you deserves your effort, your loyalty, or your protection. Some people exist only to consume. They take your time, your energy, your support, and your goodwill, yet offer nothing of value in return. Machiavelli would argue that power is not lost in dramatic battles, but slowly drained through careless generosity. Every favor given, every excuse made, every second spent trying to save someone who refuses to stand on their own weakens your position in ways you may not notice until it is too late. Human nature is not built on gratitude. People remember benefits only while they are useful. Once the advantage disappears, so does appreciation. This is why saving those who only take is not kindness, but miscalculation. When you invest in someone who contributes nothing, you are not building loyalty. You are training dependency. Dependency does not create allies. It creates burdens. And burdens eventually turn into resentment, both in you and in the one you tried to help. Machiavelli understood that resources are finite. Time, trust, reputation, and influence must be spent with precision. A ruler who gives endlessly to unworthy subjects weakens the state. In the same way, an individual who pours energy into people who never reciprocate weakens their own authority. Strength is not shown by how much you give, but by how wisely you choose where to give. Power grows when resources are protected, not when they are scattered without purpose. Those who constantly need saving often create crises to remain relevant. They thrive on chaos, because chaos keeps attention focused on them. If you rescue them once, they will return with a larger problem the next time. Over time, your role shifts from supporter to servant. Your priorities are delayed, your goals are postponed, and your progress slows, all while they remain unchanged. Machiavelli would see this as a strategic failure, not an act of virtue. There is also danger in being seen as endlessly forgiving and endlessly available. People test limits. When they discover that you will continue to give regardless of cost, respect fades. What was once generosity becomes expectation. What was once help becomes obligation. At that moment, you are no longer in control of the relationship. Control has shifted, and power has quietly changed hands. Saving the wrong people also damages your judgment. You begin to justify their behavior, excuse their failures, and distort reality to protect your past decisions. This self-deception is more dangerous than betrayal, because it blinds you to future threats. Machiavelli warned against illusions, especially those born from emotion. Emotion clouds strategy. Attachment clouds reason, and misplaced compassion clouds survival. This lesson does not demand cruelty. It demands clarity. There is a difference between helping someone rise and carrying someone who refuses to walk. The former strengthens both parties. The latter destroys both. A wise leader and a wise individual helps those who show effort, discipline, and respect for the help they receive. Those who show none of these reveal their true intention. Consumption without contribution. Power is preserved by selectiveness. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your concern. When you stop rescuing those who only take, you create space for those who build, support, and stand with you. This is not heartlessness. It is alignment with reality. Machiavelli believed that reality, not morality, decides outcomes. Ignoring this does not make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. In the end, the greatest mistake is believing that saving others will earn loyalty. Loyalty is earned through mutual benefit, shared risk, and respect. When none of these exist, your effort is wasted. And wasted effort is the silent enemy of power. Reveals that not all danger comes from enemies who oppose you openly. Some threats are quieter, closer, and far more destructive. These are the people who constantly create problems, bring disorder into your life, and pull you into unnecessary conflicts. Machiavelli understood that chaos is the enemy of power. A ruler surrounded by turmoil cannot think clearly, plan strategically, or act decisively. In the same way, a person who allows disruptive individuals into their inner circles slowly loses control over their own direction. People who live in constant crises often normalize instability. They move from one problem to the next, never learning, never improving, and never taking responsibility. When you involve yourself in their struggles, you inherit their disorder. Your focus shifts from building your future to managing their emergencies. Your energy is spent reacting instead of creating. Machiavelli would see this as a fatal weakness, because power belongs to those who control events, not those who are controlled by them. Helping such people feels noble at first. You believe your guidance, support, or protection will eventually bring order, but chaos has a way of spreading. Over time, their problems become your problems. Their enemies become your enemies. Their mistakes reflect on you. Your reputation, credibility, and peace suffer, not because of your own actions, but because you chose to stand too close to instability. Machiavelli warned that association defines perception. A leader is judged by the company they keep. When you align yourself with those who are reckless, unreliable, or constantly entangled in trouble, others begin to question your judgment. Trust erodes quietly. Opportunities disappear silently. Influence weakens without confrontation. This loss is rarely immediate, but it is always cumulative. There is also a psychological cost. Constant exposure to negativity reshapes your mindset. You begin to expect failure, prepare for disaster, and operate in survival mode rather than growth mode. Fear replaces vision. Reaction replaces strategy. Machiavelli believed that foresight is one of the highest virtues of leadership. Chaos destroys foresight because it demands immediate attention and leaves no space for long-term planning. Some individuals thrive on disorder because it grants them importance. As long as there is a problem, they have a role. If peace ever arrives, they become irrelevant. These people unconsciously sabotage stability to maintain their position. Saving them does not resolve the chaos. It rewards Italiano. Each rescue confirms that disorder will always be met with your intervention. This creates dependency, not reform. Strength, in Machiavellian terms, is not measured by how much chaos you can endure, but by how effectively you can eliminate it from your sphere. Distance is often the most strategic response. Not every battle deserves your involvement. Not every crisis deserves your attention. Choosing not to engage is sometimes the most powerful move available. Protecting your power means protecting your environment. Order allows clarity. Clarity allows planning. Planning allows dominance over circumstances. When you remove chaotic influences, your decisions become sharper, your actions more deliberate, and your authority more visible. People sense stability and are drawn to it. They trust those who are not constantly entangled in drama. This lesson is not about abandoning people in need. It is about recognizing patterns. A person who repeatedly creates chaos is revealing their nature. Machiavelli would argue that nature rarely changes. Expecting stability from instability is self-deception, and self-deception is more dangerous than any external enemy. Power survives through control, foresight, and disciplined separation from disorder. Those who fail to protect themselves from chaos eventually become part of it, losing direction, influence, and command without ever realizing when it began. Confronts a belief deeply rooted in human emotion, that mercy is always a virtue. Machiavelli rejected this idea, not because he favored cruelty, but because he understood how mercy, when offered without wisdom, becomes a tool for manipulation. Compassion is powerful, but only when guided by reason and limits. When mercy is predictable and unconditional, it ceases to be kindness and transforms into weakness in the eyes of those who benefit from it. People observe patterns carefully. When they learn that you forgive every mistake, overlook every betrayal, and absorb every consequence, they adjust their behavior accordingly, not toward improvement, but toward exploitation. Mercy without consequence teaches others that your boundaries are flexible and your authority negotiable. Machiavelli believed that once authority is questioned, it is already eroding. Respect depends not on fear alone, but on consistency. Inconsistency destroys both love and fear. Excessive mercy also distorts justice. When wrongdoing carries no cost, discipline collapses. Those who follow rules begin to feel foolish, while those who break them feel empowered. This imbalance creates resentment and instability. Machiavelli observed that leaders who were overly lenient often lost the loyalty of the disciplined while gaining nothing but contempt from the unruly. Order survives only when actions are met with proportional response. There is a hidden arrogance in blind mercy. It assumes that your forgiveness will reform others simply because it is offered. In reality, change requires accountability. Without pressure, there is no incentive to evolve. Mercy that shields people from the consequences of their actions denies them growth and denies you security. Machiavelli understood that fear of consequence is often a stronger teacher than goodwill. Mercy also drains strength when it forces you to relive the same conflicts repeatedly. Each act of forgiveness reopens old wounds and consumes energy that could be directed toward progress. Over time, this cycle creates exhaustion. Exhausted leaders make poor decisions. Exhausted individuals accept situations they would once reject. Machiavelli saw exhaustion as a strategic vulnerability, because tired minds cannot maintain power. Wise mercy is selective and deliberate. It is offered once, clearly, and with conditions. It communicates that forgiveness is a choice, not an entitlement. When limits are established, mercy strengthens authority rather than weakening it. People understand where they stand. Predictability returns. Stability follows. Machiavelli valued stability above sentiment, because stability allows power to endure. There is also the matter of reputation. If you become known for endless forgiveness, you attract those who seek leniency rather than those who seek alignment. Your circle fills with individuals who test how far they can go without consequence. Meanwhile, disciplined and principled people keep their distance, preferring environments where fairness and order prevail. Mercy, without structure, reshapes your world in subtle but destructive ways. Machiavelli did not argue against kindness. He argued against naivety. True strength lies in knowing when mercy will produce loyalty and when it will produce contempt. Mercy must be rare enough to be valued and firm enough to be respected. When people fear consequences more than they expect forgiveness, order is maintained without constant enforcement. In the end, unchecked mercy teaches others how to hurt you without cost. Strategic mercy teaches them where the line stands. Power does not survive through softness or cruelty alone, but through calculated balance. Those who master this balance rule circumstances rather than surrender to them. Emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with people who respect and value your contribution, because influence and loyalty are earned through mutual benefit, not assumed by default. Machiavelli recognized that human relationships are often transactional. Those who recognize your worth reinforce your position, while those who ignore it quietly undermine it. When you invest in people who do not appreciate or reciprocate, you weaken not only your resources but also your authority and your future potential. People naturally prioritize what benefits them most, often over what is fair or ethical. When someone does not respect your effort, it is not a reflection of your generosity or intelligence, it is a reflection of their character. Aligning with such individuals is dangerous because their disregard can become a liability. Their inaction or indifference reduces your leverage, erodes trust among allies, and can distort the perception of your competence. Machiavelli understood that reputation and perception often outweigh intention. Being associated with unworthy partners damages both. Moreover, investing in ungrateful people fosters dependency without loyalty. They rely on your efforts while offering nothing in return, creating imbalance and draining energy. This imbalance slowly diminishes your influence, because your time and attention are finite, as your resources are stretched to accommodate those who give nothing back. Opportunities to cultivate genuine allies are lost. Strength, in a Machiavellian sense, comes not from indiscriminate generosity, but from deliberate allocation of resources toward those who enhance your power and stability. Another danger is emotional entanglement. When you commit to individuals who do not value you, you begin justifying their failures and tolerating behavior that conflicts with your goals. You sacrifice clarity of judgment for hope that your support will eventually be appreciated. Machiavelli would call this self-deception, because reality is rarely altered by desire. Accepting and acknowledging the true nature of people allows strategic decisions to be made, rather than choices dictated by wishful thinking. Those who do not respect your contribution also disrupt your strategic planning. Their indifference can slow initiatives, dilute collaboration, and introduce inefficiency. Machiavelli viewed power as dependent on foresight and control. When you surround yourself with unworthy people, both are compromised. Energy spent coaxing or motivating them is energy diverted from strengthening your position, influencing others, or seizing opportunities that would advance your authority. The lesson extends beyond avoidance. It is about selection and prioritization. Loyalty and usefulness are intertwined. Those who value your efforts demonstrate reliability, commitment, and shared vision. These qualities cultivate alliances that multiply influence, whereas misplaced trust creates friction and internal conflict. Machiavelli recognized that alliances built on mutual respect and utility are not only stronger but also more durable. They provide stability in uncertain circumstances, creating a network that supports survival, advancement, and sustained power. Aligning with appreciative and capable individuals also ensures accountability. When people recognize your contribution, they respect your guidance and decisions. They are more likely to follow, support, and act in alignment with collective goals. This alignment reduces friction, increases efficiency, and strengthens the authority of leadership. In contrast, ungrateful or indifferent individuals act unpredictably, creating vulnerabilities that can be exploited by rivals or circumstances beyond your control. Furthermore, Machiavelli emphasized the necessity of distance from those who undervalue you. Protecting your influence sometimes requires severing ties, limiting exposure, or refusing engagement. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. By directing energy toward relationships that strengthen rather than weaken you, resources are conserved, power is preserved, and clarity is maintained. Over time, this practice not only protects authority, but cultivates an environment in which loyalty, productivity, and respect are the norms rather than the exceptions. Ultimately, the lesson teaches that influence is fragile and must be nurtured wisely. Being surrounded by people who value your contribution is not merely advantageous. It is essential for sustainable power. Machiavelli argued that leadership, success, and security depend on the careful curation of your relationships. Every interaction, every alliance, and every investment of energy should be intentional. When respect is absent, engagement becomes a liability. And recognizing this truth is critical to preserving both personal authority and strategic advantage. Underscores the importance of focusing on strengthening your own circle and maintaining control over your environment. Machiavelli understood that power is not only about personal skill or ambition, but also about the company you keep and the structure you build around yourself. Surrounding yourself with those who support your vision, respect your authority, and contribute to your goals creates a network of strength that amplifies your influence. Conversely, spreading your attention and resources to individuals who undermine or distract from your objectives diminishes your capacity to act decisively and erodes your long-term stability. Every decision, alliance, and relationship carries consequences. When you dilute your influence by attempting to rescue, assist, or protect people who do not align with your priorities, you fragment your resources. Time, energy, trust, and attention are all finite, misallocated. They leave you vulnerable to both internal and external threats. Machiavelli observed that leaders often fail not because of their enemies, but because of those within their own circle who drain strength, spread discord, or foster dependency without contribution. Maintaining a strong inner circle ensures that your actions have clarity and that your authority is reinforced rather than compromised. Focus on your circle also means prioritizing alignment over affection. Loyalty and usefulness are the pillars of productive relationships. Emotional attachment, while natural, can cloud judgment and obscure reality. Individuals who are close to you but whose priorities diverge from yours, or who fail to appreciate and support your vision, can weaken cohesion and create strategic blind spots. Machiavelli emphasized the necessity of evaluating relationships with a pragmatic lens. The measure of a person's worth is not sentiment, but the tangible effect they have on your objectives and stability. Moreover, protecting your circle requires discernment in managing influence. The presence of disruptive, self-serving, or ungrateful individuals introduces uncertainty and unpredictability. Such instability can spread, undermining morale, diverting attention, and creating inefficiency. When your inner environment is controlled and reinforced by capable and trustworthy allies, challenges are more easily managed, and opportunities are more clearly identifiable. Machiavelli believed that power thrives where structure is clear and loyalty is reliable, because this allows the leader to act with confidence rather than hesitation. This lesson also highlights the importance of boundaries. Protecting your circle is not about exclusion for its own sake. It is about maintaining focus and preserving strength, allowing every plea, every crisis, or every demand from unworthy individuals into your sphere creates distractions that compromise both strategy and execution. By selectively engaging with those who contribute value and alignment, you reduce risk and maximize influence. Machiavelli's strategic thought consistently prioritized results over sentiment, teaching that maintaining power requires careful curation of one's relationships and environment. Strengthening your circle further involves proactive cultivation. It is not enough to simply avoid weak or untrustworthy individuals. You must actively foster loyalty, competence, and alignment among those who are retained. This involves clear communication, recognition of effort, and establishing shared goals. When your circle is disciplined, capable, and aligned with your vision, collective action becomes exponentially more effective, and power is no longer reliant solely on individual skill, but is distributed across a cohesive network. Machiavelli viewed such networks as essential to both survival and dominance. Another critical aspect of this lesson is the avoidance of overextension. Individuals who attempt to save or support everyone risk becoming spread too thin, reducing the impact of their actions and weakening their authority. Strategic focus, by contrast, concentrates resources where they produce the greatest effect. Machiavelli taught that influence is preserved not by indiscriminate engagement, but by deliberate prioritization. A strong circle functions as both a shield and a platform, enabling decisive action while protecting the leader from unnecessary vulnerabilities. Finally, the lesson reinforces the principle that power is maintained through intentional structure and disciplined relationships. Every action, decision, and alliance must be evaluated in terms of its contribution to the stability and strength of your circle. By focusing on those who enhance your position, you preserve energy, consolidate authority, and create an environment in which influence is durable. Machiavelli's insight is clear. Survival and success are not determined solely by talent or courage, but by the careful curation of the people and structures around you. Those who master this outcontrol circumstances rather than being controlled by them, ensuring that their power endures and their objectives remain attainable. The lessons drawn from Machiavelli's teachings converge on a single, unyielding principle. Power, influence, and success are preserved not through blind compassion, indiscriminate loyalty, or misplaced trust, but through clarity, strategy, and discernment. Every decision, relationship, and action carries consequences. An understanding human nature, the willingness of some to take without giving, to create chaos, or to exploit mercy is essential to maintaining authority and stability. Tolid one must distinguish between those who strengthen and those who drain, between allies who value your contribution and those who undermine it, between loyalty earned and loyalty assumed. Protecting your resources, focusing on your own circle, and practicing deliberate, strategic mercy ensures that your energy and influence are never wasted. Strength is cultivated not only through action but also through the careful selection of people, priorities, and opportunities. Ultimately, the essence of Machiavellian wisdom is simple yet profound. Power is preserved by those who understand reality, act without illusion, and align themselves with order, loyalty, and mutual respect. By applying these principles, one navigates the complexities of human relationships and life itself with foresight, control, and enduring authority. Those who master this art do not merely survive, they rise, influence, and endure beyond the fleeting whims of fortune.